Good evening, everyone, and welcome. What a finish to the week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closes in record territory. More on that in a moment. But first, it looks like Apple may sing a new tune. The company reportedly close to a deal to buy the headphone maker Beats Electronic, founded by rapper Dr. Dre and the record producer Jimmy Iovine. Price tag more than $3 billion. Apple investors not taking a shine to the news, sending Apple shares nearly 0.5% lower today. And that reaction is raising questions about what Apple's really after in this acquisition. Is it the high-end headphones, or with digital downloads on iTunes flattening out a bit, maybe it's Beats' new music streaming service, or is Apple just trying to reassert its cool factor by joining forces with a hip-hop mogul and a record producer? Morgan Brennan takes a closer look at Beats and what the folks at Apple may really be after.
Dr. Dre may be most famous for his music, but it's his Beats by Dre headphones that could make him hip-hop's richest man. That's because tech giant Apple could buy Beats Electronics for as much as $3.2 billion. If the deal goes through, it would be the most Apple has ever paid to acquire a company. So what is Beats? The company makes high-end headphones that already retail at Apple stores for hundreds of dollars. In January, it launched a music streaming service that competes with Apple's own iTunes Radio. But analysts say the products may not be the valuable part of this deal. Instead, it may be more about the talent, namely Dr. Dre's co-founder, Jimmy Iovine, the chairman of Universal Music Group's record labels and one of the industry's earliest adopters of new media platforms. He's reportedly in talks to join Apple's team in a creative role.
If you look at it at face value, it's just a bad idea. If you take it a step further and think about what it adds to their management team, it starts to make sense, albeit a very expensive acqui-hire.
This deal would represent a departure for Apple, which typically builds its own hardware internally rather than acquire it. Not to mention the fact that iTunes Radio itself only launched last fall. Talent or not, that's got analysts skeptical. But Beats did pull in a reported $1.2 billion in revenue last year, and its brand isn't just recognizable among consumers, it's even considered cool.
I think it's pretty dope.
Oh, I think it's very exciting news. Apple's a great company, and I think the combination of the two will be awesome for both companies.
I just hope that doesn't mean prices go up.
I think that means prices go up.
If Apple had them, it'd still be in the same position. I'll still be broke. So, yeah, I'll be trying to save up for them.
But a deal isn't done yet. Sources say an official announcement could come as soon as next week. But negotiations could also still fall through. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Morgan Brennan in Santa Monica, California.
Scott Kessler sees plenty of harmony between Apple and Beats. He's equity analyst at S&P Capital IQ. Scott, you know, this subject all day was getting debate on both sides. Either you love the deal or you hate the deal, and you just heard Gene Munster in Morgan's package saying it's a bad idea. Now, why do you love this deal?
Yeah, so I don't know if I love the prospects of the deal, Susie, but I do see a number of potential positives. Most obviously is that Apple is already in the very businesses that Beats Music is focused on, or at least Beats Electronics is focused on, as well as Beats Music. So first of all, you have the accessories business. It generated about $1.3 billion in revenue for Apple in the March quarter, and obviously that's Beats' bread and butter, right? They make headphones and earphones and speakers, and Apple sells a lot of those. So obviously removing the kind of middleman from that process makes those products more profitable for Apple. But I think more importantly on the product side is the Beats streaming service that you referenced. It's newly launched, but I think it's something that Apple has been taking a close look at. I think they're very interested in trying to kind of better pursue and successfully execute on a non-download digital music strategy. iTunes Radio, we think, has garnered mixed reviews.
All right, be honest now. Would Steve Jobs do this deal?
I tend to doubt it, Tyler. I think this is the type of deal where right now, over the last year or two, it seems like Apple really has lost its kind of cachet from a brand perspective and even from a product perspective. And that's one of the reasons we think they're considering such a transaction. When you think about Beats and you think about what Apple has been doing over the last year, they hired the CEO, the former CEO of Yves Saint Laurent. They hired the CEO, the former CEO of Burberry. and they now have looked for someone to promote buzz marketing to basically get the company better aligned with, let's say, luxury clientele, as well as a greater level of visibility across celebrities. That's something that's important to them, and I think Beats helps them do that potentially.
Susie and I are available for a lot less than $3 billion.
All right, you should get in touch with them.
Happily to sign up. So, Scott, a lot of people have been watching Apple stock, wondering what's going to be the next big thing to move the stock. It crossed over $600 earlier this week, and everybody was so excited. It's pulled back a little bit. There's a developers conference coming up next month. Is anything going to come out of that, whether it's an iPhone or some new product that could give this amp up the stock?
Right. So the way that we think about the next couple of months for Apple are initially, we completely acknowledge that the Worldwide Developers Conference that you referenced is coming. It's only weeks away, really, at this point. But that's really more a gathering focused on software and services. And so you could see new operating systems announced. You could see new features to various Apple offerings announced, like apps, for example, and new enhancements. But we don't see new actual hardware products being announced at this confab. However, we do expect within the next couple of months that Apple might make 3 key announcements. One is going to be a new iPhone. We expect it to have a bigger screen. People are looking for that. Number 2 is, frankly, new iPads. We think that people are looking for a refresh of that product line. And then perhaps most importantly, we look for Apple to announce its entree into the wearables category, perhaps with something that most of us would think of as an iWatch, so to speak.
Okay, we're all waiting for all those products. Scott, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Have a good weekend. Scott Kessler of S&P Capital IQ.